Everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Ninja Bunny Crafting. Today I figured I'd go on a little bit more with our dungeon tiles and such. Today we're going to add something awesome to it. We're going to add in rubble. Rubble piles. Rubble is an amazing thing to add in. It's nice because, one, it adds to the creativity of the area. It's nice in that it actually can create little small choke points if you want. If you're trying to portray a battle, a ruin, anything, piles of rubble that you can just pick up and move real easy, really nice to have. And I can't wait to show you guys how to make this. It's going to be a little bit of a weird video because, well, you know that old saying, what can go wrong will go wrong? Well, that's kind of how this went for me. But, despite all the fun fuck-ups, I think you guys will enjoy this.
Alright guys, today this is a really great build. So really, a lot of this is going to come from scraps and leftovers from prior projects, or just making dinner, or going to throw out the trash. So grab yourself any kind of little cereal box, soda box. In this case I grabbed a box of very popular Rice brand from dinner the other night, and just, do what you need to. I'm going to cut off a piece so that I can make 3 bases here. Now, cardboard is a great little thing to use. It's readily available all the time. It's cheap, and you don't really have to spend too much to get your hands on it, if you know what I mean. And then, once you've got yourself some cardboard here, you're just going to cut out some shapes. Circles, squares, whatever you think works. I'm just kind of doing these weird, wobbly, wobbly, eebly, deebly, deebly, doobly shapes that kind of look like lakes on maps and stuff. And that kind of helps. I don't recommend too much straight lines, but if you're going to do straight lines, be aware that once you add on the Mod Podge and we do some of the watered down glue to seal it, it might cause some curving. So be prepared. If you're doing straight lines, it will curve, and you're going to want to apply it to one side first, wait for that to occur, then apply it to the other. That way it kind of pulls itself straight again. And as always, be careful when cutting. As you can see, I'm actually moving the cardboard a lot more than I am the blade when I go to make the circles or turns. Just a little bit of safety tip there. You don't want to cut yourself. Razor blade cuts suck. Alright, now take a piece of leftover foam board that you've been using from any of the prior projects we've mentioned. From making your pillars, making your dungeon tiles, or making your stackers. And then just cut yourself up some brick pieces. So all I'm doing here is just cutting up random pieces at random sizes that look brick shaped. As always, I'm staying safe. I don't want to slice up my fingernails or anything. Now the nice thing about making up a bunch of bricks right now and ahead of time is that you can basically set yourself up with a bunch of ruined bricks. So if you wanted to build up cyclopean walls or ruined walls to give you scatter terrain for other things like the world map, this is a great time to start building those and getting those set up for yourself. Because, you know what? It doesn't hurt to have a surplus of some small supplies of crafting stuff like this. I have, and will show you, buckets filled with this stuff. Well, not so much buckets. When you say buckets, you think like a 5-gallon bucket or something. In this case, it's more like, leftovers or takeout buckets. By the way, those are great things. You just go to a Gordon Food Supply or something and buy a bunch of those plastic containers that when you go out to a Chinese restaurant, they give you wonton soup in. If you have some wonton soup that you've had, just wash it out and save it. They're great for storing these little bricks and doing some of these tricks to get texturing and bricks looking good. So as you can see, one of the containers I'm talking about, I have it filled with small rocks. You can get these at the dollar store, find them on the street, but you just basically want that. And you're going to take all the bricks you make, or a bunch of bricks at a time. You don't want to overwhelm yourself here, so I really would suggest grabbing a handful or 2 at a time. Just pick them up, throw them in here, put the lid on, and then tumble it. Just any way you can see. And I am just going to let you guys watch and see how I do this. So, yeah, probably not going to voice over this part, but my seat broke while I was doing that.
And my phone fell.
Okay, making sure not to break your neck if your chair breaks, here's what it's going to look like when you're done. You're going to pick out a couple of rocks. Let me just show you one real quick. And you're going to have bricked texture that you can just do without having to roll tinfoil over it, and it's going to make it look weathered. It's going to round the edges. It's going to look good, trust me. You know, might want to do that for about 5 minutes. I'd usually do mine for about 10. And now, let's make rubble, rock rubble. Grab another piece here. I'm going to just take my knife here and score it on super high speed. And then take your fingernail and just dig into it. Just start pulling all that stuff out. You want that like little shrapnel pieces and shards and scrappy pieces that you're going to see here in the palm of my hand. You want those. And it's a great way to make rock texture, by the way. So if you want to make some good rock terrain, you can take your fingernails, or I'm doing this with a screwdriver to get the speed up and get more out of there quickly. And it just creates a good, like, weird, rough texture for making rock terrain. So if you wanted to, you could do that too. You can make rocks at the same time. You're getting yourself some rubble here from scraps. Great way to add to your scatter terrain and your maps and to help out your players with theater of the mind. So let's move on. As you can see, these are my buckets of stuff. Now we're going to take our cardboard, guys, and slather on glue. You can water this glue down, or you can just go straight undiluted glue like I am. I even take my fingers here and spread it around once I've got it all set up because I want a good even coat here. And then you're going to want some rocks from the dollar store. You know, those bags of rocks that you can buy from the crafting part of the dollar store? They come in handy, and it doesn't matter what color they are. You can have this white or green or blue or black or whatever. I've got some green. I keep it in, again, those takeout containers. Works great. And then I am just liberally dumping the sand everywhere and then pressing down with my hand real hard. And I've got a couple things here waiting because I don't want that, like, curling action to occur. And once you've got it all dry, that beauty of the camera there speeding up for us, huh? Just tap off the excess. Doesn't matter if it all sticks or not. You want, the majority will, but you just want a good layer here of the sandy rock look. See, a little bit stuck there to my mat. It was a little hard to get off. See that? Right? All right. Now, grab some more glue. And grab your rubbled rock and brick. Here comes the fun part. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to, like, glue some to the rock, some bricks down. Just place them randomly and then just smoosh glue everywhere. That's one of the big secrets of making these guys really durable here is the Elmer's glue. You're just going to let your mind's eye guide you here. Place down a couple bricks randomly in the place wherever you think it should go. Doesn't really matter too much on where it's at. You just want it to be on that sandy rock. And then you're going to grab rubble, bricks, and just pile it on. Just keep piling it on. Just place it wherever you think. And it's okay to water the glue down even at this part. If you want to take watered down PVA glue and just liberally douse these things as you put them on, that's fine. You just got to give yourself time to dry. Of course, we will also be adding on black Mod Podge here, so it is going to help seal it up and make it more durable. As you can see here, I'm just picking out spots. That's all I'm doing. Just picking them out, and I'm putting the stuff on. Just adding glue. And I'm just like, well, this is what this looks like. Let's do this. And then I'm grabbing some stone here, and I'm sprinkling it on. Sprinkling it anywhere and everywhere. I don't care if it gets in all the nooks and crannies. I'm going to try to, but if it doesn't, oh well. This is rubble. This stuff fell down and just ended up here, right? That's all we care about. We want it to look like rubble. So let's keep going. Let's just keep going on these guys and getting it all gooked up. I am just pushing this glue everywhere. I do have a couple pieces that didn't look right and fall off, as you can see. And I grabbed some tweezers because my big fat hands are big fat hands.
The last time it was Backstreet Boys.
And it's okay to have a lot of fun at this part if you want to. If you are singing and dancing while you're doing this, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Trust me, it's pretty hard to hear in the background here because I do speed up the videos a little bit because I pause them and go do other things while I'm doing things. So, you know how life gets in the way. Do you guys ever have that problem when you're crafting? Having to go do several things at once? Let me know in the comments below. So, as you can see, I'm actually saving these scraps still. None of it's going to go to waste. All right. So when everything's said and dried, let's get our black Mod Podge out. And you can water this down so it flows easier. Mine is already diluted so that it flows a little bit easier for me. But you do want to try and get this in all the nooks and crannies. That's a really big part here because you're trying to seal it all. You don't want any of this guy to be missing this because you want the darkness. You don't want the pink popping up. You don't want the green popping up too much. I mean, if it does, it's okay. These are for your home games, right? You're not trying to make a professional living off of this. And if you are, I really hope that these tips help you get to that level. And we're going to paint every little nook and cranny that we can find, including the underneath. We want to paint the underneath of this. But you should probably let things dry before you hit the underneath. That's what I do here. As you can see, I am getting in there with my big brush that I love so much. This guy's my favoriteest brush. When it comes to terrain and stuff, this dude is my this brush right here. This is my hero brush. Right? And I can even see some spots and I'm just smooshing my hero brush in there. Same thing here. I am just smooshing hero brush in, just going to town. Just putting in as much as I can here. I want it everywhere. So, and if before anybody asks, where did I get Hero Brush? I got them from the dollar store. I've had Hero Brush for years. Hero Brush is my friend. Hero Brush just is always there for me when I go, I got a crafting terrain project I want to do. And Hero Brush just shows up like, I'm your hero. Let me help you get everything done, baby. And you too can get a Hero Brush at the dollar store. The dollar store is also like one of my biggest, like, just I wish they were paying me for this because I pimped them so hard. That's where I get a lot of the stuff that I use here, except for the pink insulation foam board. That stuff I get at stores like Menards and such. As always, I never learn my lessons either here. I'm never wearing my gloves when I paint. I probably should put on gloves, but you know what? I'm like, I don't care if my hands get filled with Mod Podge and paint. That's what soap and water are for. Even though I will walk away and go do something else and totally forget I have this stuff covering my hands and wonder why my hands are like feeling like plastic over them. All right, as you can see, everything is dried here on the top as good as I can hit it, and we are going to take some very, very watered down and diluted brown paint. I went with a ivory and brown here to get me this like muddy brownish, like weird caramel color. And this is for a very specific reason. This is going to help give us an undercoat of dirt. I know that sounds weird, but because there's rubble and terrain here in some of these spots, it's going to look like that dirt or sand or anything else. It's going to help really highlight that, but it's going to disappear inside of the dry brushing and the semi-dry brushing we're going to do next. So once you've got this all said and done, it's okay to have this extremely watered down too. If you want to have this so watered down that you need to do 2 coats, that's fine. In fact, reality is here, I only do a single coat here of this with a just basically tapping my brush into a little ramekin of water over there and then putting it right next to my little paint station that I've got next to me and dipping it in the paint and just wiping off the majority of the excess because I want that thinned down stuff to flow through. And I don't want too much of the darkness to leave mine. However, if you want bright, vibrant colors that just pop, don't water it down too much. Don't water it down too much at all. As you can see, there I am. Just dip it in the brush. Get a good working through the paint. Get it nice and flowy. Then we're going to continue. Because it's these little down spots where the gravel is for me that I want to look more like there's dirt in there. I want it to seem like this is ancient rubble, old rubble. This dungeon you're in is falling apart. It's not in the best of shape because it was forgotten about. And there are things down in the depths that nobody knows about. What do you guys think? Do you like doing that when you're crafting up terrain if you're the dungeon master? Do you like going, hey, I've got a story brewing just from building this. Let me know in the comments below, because I've always got one brewing. So, like I said, I am just dabbing it all in with Hero Brush here. Dabbing it every which way I can. I really do want to try and cover every piece, even if it's with a light coat of this very, very light brown that I made using ivory and just plain brown. My hand always gets in the way. I wish my crafting room had more room for a better angle of shooting. I need to put like a track in above me so that I can just have like a downward angle on me. What do you guys think? Should I do that? Should I start saving up to get better tracking in here so that you guys can see me from multiple angles? Let me know in the comments below, okay? Alright, thank you, editing magic. Alright, now that this is all dry, you can see here, I've got my gray, my fall gray. And we're just gonna get everything loaded up. Again, my paint station is so close to where I have to position my camera. I never realized that it's shaking things until after I've started. Now this is a semi dry brush. We're not exactly getting all of the paint off of the brush after we load it up. We're gonna get like 80% off, and then we're just gonna dab it over the bricks as best we can and over the rocks. It's an attempt here. Again, you're not trying to cover up too much of the brown, but the brown should start to fade into the background and start to become harder to notice. It should start to be filling up the deeper crevices for you. And as you can see here, I'm gonna have to move this every direction, and you're going to too. It's gonna get real hard. So again, don't be me. Put on gloves, because my fingerprint showed up on these guys a few places and I had to touch it up. But again, if it's for your home games, you don't have to worry about that. Don't worry if your fingerprints show up. Me, I got the ADHD thing, so like it drove me nuts. I knew they were there. Nobody else noticed, so it drives you nuts. Let me know if you have it. If you have that issue, you know, where you're like, oh, this, everyone else thinks it's great. I think it sucks. I think it's just like when you do art, you're your hardest critic. And yeah, making mini terrain is still art, guys. You're still crafting up this amazing dungeon and world that you're gonna slap these things down randomly in other places dozens of times over, and you're gonna just spark imagination and thought, and it's gonna be amazing. You're gonna love it. Trust me, it's one of my favorite things is crafting up this stuff. So as you can see here, I am still just dab, 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 dab. Just putting it all over this rubble terrain. And it's not looking too bad, honestly. I kind of wish that I had taken a moment and found some sticky tack and like tacked these guys down on top of like a paint bottle like I would a miniature. But hey, life is learning. All right. Once we've got these guys all set up, we're going to move on to our favorite thing, dry brushing. You're just going to get a little off-white here. In this case, I think I started with a suede. Yeah, actually I did. Normally I show you guys that on the camera. I didn't. So I started with the suede here and just kind of hit it with a nice liberal dry brushing. I'm just going everywhere and pushing down and in and all around like we always do. I'm trying to highlight both the stones and the bricks and the little pieces of rubble piles. I'm trying to really get it to pop as best I can, because we're going to do a wash, and a lot of this brightness that's coming out from the dry brushing is going to vanish in that wash. It is just going to dilute down and go away. But don't be afraid of that. That's okay. It's going to really make things look great. I think washes are kind of like liquid magic when it comes to doing anything, minis or terrain. Just kind of add a wash to it after a dry brush and boom, it just explodes in you. Wait, that sounded perverted. Never mind. Anyway, so as you can see, work it in, push it down, push it all around, do it in circles. Don't be afraid. It's okay if it starts to look really bright and whatnot, because again, we're going to add a wash after we do these dry brushings. Now, give the first dry brushing a moment to dry. As always, like 5-10 minutes. I usually go 15 on the dry brushing. I might even wait an hour sometimes. And then we're going to go bright white. After we do a suede or if you have it, a very light tan. But we're going to add that white on. And it's going to keep making everything pop out and just highlight all of these things. Again, do not worry if things are looking really bright white. You're going to be putting down a wash. It's going to flow into all those crevices and it's going to coat over all the surfaces. I did have the camera die back there, so I didn't get all of the pieces properly dry brushed. So I
also,
am showing
if you
you
finish
guys
a dry brush
the
and you come back to go do the
process.
wash and you don't think it's bright enough to withstand the wash, it's okay to slather on another dry brush.
All this much.
Sounds kind of silly since it's a
Why are we
dry
talking
brushing.
still?
You wouldn't really be slathering anything. But you get my drift.
As you can see here, I did have my camera die, and I was not happy with the outcome myself. I know that the wash I'm going to put down is going to really darken things up, so I am adding that second dry brush myself. There you go. Take a look at that so far, right? That looks amazing. You could call it right there if you wanted to. But again, I'm going to be adding a wash because I want those recesses to pop out. And right here, I'm going to start by working my way from the bricks to the rubble. The bricks are the large items there. They're going to catch your eyes, and I kind of want them to have all of their nooks and crannies highlighted. I want the depth to be showing, and then I'm going to move on to the nooks and crannies. Now you might be asking, why don't we dip this like we did the stackers? The cardboard is the reason. Even with the Mod Podge and black paint mixture on the bottom of it, there's still a chance that it could get soaked up and ruined from that because we haven't sealed it with watered down PVA glue. So as you can see, I'm taking a big, nice, long brush that I can use kind of like a mop, and I am just mopping it all over the terrain, getting into the crevices. I start with my bricks, like I said, because I want my bricks to be assured to look really good. And then once we've got it, I'm just going to scoot it out of the way. Scoot, scoot, scoot. I'm going to load up my brush with even more, slide over the other guy here, and just load it up. Again, you see, I go over the bricks, the giant rocks, and then I move over to like the sandy rubble. I want this to look really popping for me, and I'm using that same stone wash I've used before. If you don't want to use a stone wash that we used before, make a brown wash. Brown wash will look really good here too. And this mini terrain rubble idea, you can adjust this to anything. If you want it to look more like you're in a desert or Egyptian setting, skip the gray and go with like a tannish or yellow, or just straight dry brush tan, yellow, and white for the black Mod Podge, and that'll give you a desert rubble feel.
Once you've got everything
you've got it all
had
dried,
time to
this
rest
is what the
yourself
wash will
up
do.
and relax, we're going to now
See
go
here?
on to sealing this
It's
stuff.
pretty nice, right?
What
We're
you're
gonna
going to want
take
to
a
do
container
is seal
of water.
something here. So you're going to
We're gonna
want
do
white
a
PVA glue, any
roughly
brand. I prefer
2-to-1
Elmer's
ratio
because,
of
it's readily available.
Elmer's white glue.
And you
or
want to
any
go
PVA
about
white glue. I
roughly
use
a
Elmer's glue all.
2-to-1 ratio.
Mix this
Some
together
people prefer a 2-to-3 ratio, but
this
it's
seal
a
will
little
even
much.
work on your dungeon
But you'll
tiles
know
or
the
anything that
feeling when
we've
you get
made
there.
so far.
You're looking for that kind of watered
your
down
miniatures. Don't use this on your
paper
miniatures.
mache
It is
trick
not a
you did
good
as a
idea.
kid,
However,
just enough
foam miniature
goopiness to the
terrain that we've
water.
been making, even cardboard
You can
miniature
see here it's a
terrain,
little too runny for me.
this
I
is
need
really
just
good
a little
stuff
bit
for
more
that.
goopiness. But I'm not
As you
going
can
to add
see,
too
I don't
much.
think it's got it.
And then you're
good
going to
enough,
really
so
want
add
to
a
mix
little bit
this
more glue.
well.
You'll kind of
Don't
you'll
mess
kind
around.
of
Activate your
convey more of,
hyperactive powers and move it
like
lightning
paper
speed
mache,
like that.
just a little bit waterier.
Make sure that it is
waterier
a
than
good
paper
mixture.
mache.
You want it nice and thoroughly
Got some
mixed because
tongues.
now, blah blah blah.
We're gonna seal
Did you guys
this.
ever do
This is
paper
the
mache
end of
as
the
kids?
project, guys. I did that a lot. That's
Once it's
what
sealed,
I thought of when
once
I did
it's
this.
dried, this
So
is
my
done.
first thought was, hey,
And you can make as
great
many
way to
of
seal
these
it.
as
And
you
then when I looked up
need
other videos when I
or
first started
want.
crafting, other guys
It
were
doesn't
just, hey,
take too long.
you should do
Again,
this.
if you're doing a
to
batch
seal
of
your
these
stuff,
guys,
and I've been doing it since.
maybe
One of the
45
things I
minutes
like
if you
about it with foam
glued
terrain
the
is when you
drying times,
finish,
which drying time for
it
paints
adds
and
a
glues
weird
probably
feeling
going to run you
texture
about
to it
4
that
hours.
not weird isn't bad, but weird
However,
isn't good.
that's a great afternoon.
It makes it feel more
project.
store-bought
It really
than
helps you out,
handcrafted.
especially if you're like
Very
a
hard to
war
explain.
gamer.
But
Rubble
this will
terrain
take a
is
while to dry, so when you finish,
awesome to have on hand.
you could set a fan in front of
See,
this.
I am
and
working this
wait
stuff
maybe
in
45 minutes and it should
everywhere.
be
I am
dry.
making sure that
I would
this
recommend, however,
watered
just
down
setting
PVA
it down
goes
and walking away
everywhere.
for three
I
three
do
hours.
not
Outside of
want
things
it
drying, this project
to
can be done in a
not
day.
cover a single area
This
of
is
this
the
rubble.
longest part of the project too. Is the glue
I need
drying,
it
as
to cover
always.
every ounce
Even
of
the
this rubble.
paint goes
And I'm going to
faster
do the
than
top
glue
first.
drying.
Wait for
Because
it
is
to dry.
watered down,
Put these
however,
guys
it
over on
will
some
dry
parchment
faster
paper
than if
so
you
they don't
just
stick,
straight
and then flip
use
them
glue.
over later and do the
So,
bottom half again.
And I
with
do
a
recommend be
darker
liberal. Be
black
very liberal.
paint Mod Podge mix.
Don't skimp out. It's okay that it gets a little soggy with this. Just
Here
try to
we
put it
are,
on
guys.
parchment paper.
This is the tile and the rubble together. It looks awesome, doesn't it? It looks like they walked into a room where the piles of rubble have fallen from the sky.
And with that, as always, I want to thank you guys for watching. Again, hit that like button, that subscribe button. Leave me a comment down below, even if it's just to say, hey man, your video quality sucks. And again, I hope you guys have fun making these things. Like I said, when it finishes curing the water glue mix, this stuff feels like rubber. So it's really great. So again, have fun, get out there, and craft something awesome.